Ken Whiting with yet another unbiased, in-depth gear review. And in this video, I am reviewing, this is the P&H Scorpio. Now this is a kayak that I have tried already. I have tested it a few months back, last fall. I took this thing for a good and thorough test in Ireland, of all places. I tested it on the coast and I tested it inland. And now I'm going to tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, and more importantly, who is this kayak for? And so let's dive right into it. But first, check out this kayak in action in Ireland. A bad place to test a kayak, I can tell you that. I've been wanting to go to Ireland for a very long time and it did not disappoint. I am definitely going back because I literally just scratched the surface. But let's talk about the Scorpio. The Scorpio is one of P&H's original kayaks, and it's been a mainstay of the P&H line. It was fully updated in 2015. Now, it's designed around open water expeditions, but they say it's equally suited to day trip exploration. It's available in 3 sizes, LV, MV, and HV, which is low volume, mid volume, and high volume. I used the high volume boat. It retails for $2,600 US. It's 17 feet 7 inches long. It's 24 inches wide. It weighs 68 pounds or 31 kilos, and it has a max paddler weight of 300 pounds or 135 kilos. It has full deck lines and bungees around the boat. It comes with a skeg or a scudder. I got this skeg version. It has 4 hatches. It has a bow hatch, a stern hatch, a mini hatch right in front of the cockpit, and a day hatch right behind the cockpit. Of course, it's got grab loops on either end of the boat, and it's got P&H's outfitting, which they're well known for. This includes a padded seat, hip pads, a fully adjustable back band, and foot braces that are quick and easy to adjust. The kayak comes in 2 different types of constructions. I have the Core Light X construction, which is a little lighter and a little stiffer. Well, I usually start with portability, and I'm going to start there again. I'm not going to change things up this time. This is a 17.5 foot long kayak. So to call it highly portable, easy to get around, no, it's not. It's a long boat. Any long boat is a bit of a pain to get around. You know, that being said, it's 68 pounds, which isn't light, but it's not heavy for a rotomolded 17.5 foot long kayak. You know, because of the Core Light X construction of this boat, it is a very reasonable weight for the size of the boat. It doesn't change the fact that it's not the easiest boat to get around. I can get it around, throw it on my shoulder and move it around. I'm not going to want to carry it any long distances that way, but I can definitely do that. I can load it onto my truck myself. It's a bit of effort, but I can do it. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. It's going to be a 2-person job for a lot of people. But that is the reality if you're getting a rotomolded, a plastic sea kayak of any length, really. If weight is a real issue, if it's a limiting factor for you, then you really probably shouldn't be looking at rotomolded kayaks. You should be looking at a thermoformed kayak, which is a plastic kayak, but it's lighter, not as durable, but significantly lighter, or a composite kayak, a carbon Kevlar kayak. The Scorpio doesn't come as a composite in a composite form, but P&H has lots of other composite kayaks to choose from. And I'll leave a link to the Volin 160 review I did, and I am just about to test another composite P&H kayak. Do I tell you? Sure, the Virgo, it's the first time it's available as a composite. I loved it as a plastic boat. And so anyway, this is about the Scorpio, this video. So now let's talk about performance. Speed. This is a 24-inch wide, 17.5-foot long kayak. It is definitely designed for speed. It's a touring kayak, it's a sea kayak. The narrower a kayak is, the faster it is. Are there narrower sea kayaks that are going to be faster? Yes, there are. The other thing that impacts speed with sea kayaks is the amount of rocker, which is the curvature of the kayak when you look at it from the side. And it looks pretty straight, but it does have some decent rocker on this boat. What that allows it to do is to turn quite efficiently for a 17.5-foot kayak, actually surprisingly well. That makes it great for, just more maneuverable, great for rougher conditions, great for pretty much all conditions. And so that's why it's an expedition boat. Performance-wise, it really does a great job of balancing forward speed and maneuverability. How about stability though? Well, 24 inches wide isn't very wide, but it is fairly reasonable width for a sea kayak to maintain good stability, and it does. It's not a kayak. No sea kayak that's in that width range is going to feel rock solid like a recreational kayak, a 30-inch wide recreational kayak. When you just sit in it, sure, there's some play. I mean, you're in a kayak, a narrow, fast kayak, but as soon as it goes on to edge, it's like you get denied. It's like, no, you're not flipping. It's got wonderful secondary stability. And you've got primary stability when you're sitting flat, and you've got secondary stability when you're sitting on an edge. Secondary stability is really important for more advanced or just experienced kayakers who are going into rough conditions, who want or need to be able to hold that kayak on edge to deal with waves, to turn the kayak for whatever reason, even for carving. This thing holds an edge absolutely beautifully, but it also gives a beginner kayaker that feeling of confidence that, hey, this thing doesn't want me to flip. Once I hit that secondary edge, it's kind of like, ooh, you're not going to flip. You have to keep going, push it beyond that edge. So wonderful combination of performance and stability. Now let's talk about comfort. I'm 6'2", 195 pounds in peak paddling season, maybe a little bit more right now, but we're not going to get into that. Lots of room in the cockpit. Remember, this is the HV version. This is the high volume version of the kayak. It comes in a mid volume and a low volume for different size paddlers, which is really nice. To expect one paddler, all paddlers to hop into the same kayak and feel comfortable, have control is not reasonable. Having 3 sizes of a kayak is a great way to make it more accessible, more reasonable for everyone. So for me, I feel like this is the right boat. Lots of room in the cockpit. I mean, I certainly don't feel like I'm swimming around in the cockpit. There's not that much room, but I feel like I could spend a whole day in this boat and I'll be fine. As fine as you can be when you're sitting on your butt all day long. That being said, sitting on the butt, the padded seat it's not super padded, but it's padded. You're not just on a hard plastic seat. That's nice. The hip pads give you great control for edging if that's what you need. Easy to adjust. You just put foam shims. I had to actually take some foam out of the hip pads to make it a better fit for my butt. The back band, it's a great back band. It's not super low. It actually comes up just above the cockpit rim you can see here, which is nice. It doesn't impede you getting the skirt on, but it provides support high enough in the lower back. So there's real support that comes from it. The thigh hooks are aggressive enough that I feel like, rolling this thing is an issue. Getting into the surf is not an issue. I can grab onto these thigh hooks with my legs and feel total control over this kayak, but at the same time, not feeling confined. I feel like I can just slide my knee out, no problem, if I need to get out of this boat. Of course, it has foot pegs, easy to adjust from inside the kayak. That's great too. I hate foot pegs that you can't just reach inside very easily and adjust them. You have to get out of the kayak, get into this reach in there. It's really awkward. those are for me, a thing of the past. These very easy to adjust from sitting position. In terms of space inside, again, I'm 6'2". I had plenty of room around the feet. The foot pegs were not at the very end, not even really close. I would say that this boat would be good up to someone 6'6", even 6'7", unless you had a ridiculously long inseam. But lots of foot room, not just distance, but because of the size of this thing, lots of just room in general. My feet weren't squeezed in there. That's all I got to say about comfort. Now let's talk about the features. The features of the kayak, this is such a personal thing. This kayak has a skeg. Just drops right down. If you don't know the difference between skegs and rudders, well, very simply, I did a whole video about the difference and what you should choose, and it really is a matter of, there's no right or wrong here, although some people might believe there is a right or wrong. Skegs just drop right down, and that helps the kayak track, goes in a straight line. The amount you drop it down, the more it's gonna keep that boat on course. Rudders actually turn back and forth, and they let you steer. P&H makes something called the scudder, I think it's called, which is a combination. It's a skeg, something that drops down, but you can also control. Now, I haven't tried that, and this kayak doesn't have that. I use the skeg. I'm not a big rudder guy, so that's why I haven't gone and found a scudder to test yet. Totally up to you what you prefer. What I can say about the system is it's just super slick and easy to deploy and pull up. Yes, you can, just like any skeg, you can get rocks caught in the skeg box if you're dragging, on rocky area that can jam it up and stop it from dropping. But it's just such a great system, such a better system than the rope and cleat that some kayaks have. Otherwise, this kayak has the rubber hatch covers. Some people hate these, some people love these. For me, they are a bit more of an effort than like a locking, a hard cover that's attached that you can just twist a lever and it locks down. They are a bit more finicky to get on, but you quickly learn how to do it. And they provide a great seal. It's kind of like a skirt, Some people complain that some skirts are hard to put on, but those are skirts that provide typically a better seal. And so if you're the kind of person that needs a better seal, for example, if you're going to go into rough water, you're going to get lots of water piling on this boat, you're going to go into surf, and you're going on an expedition, the last thing in the world you can have is a wave explode pop one of your hatches, or just water to be constantly getting in there, then it's worth having something that's a little more difficult to operate for that added security. Yes, you have to put them on right, and there's a bit more effort, but this type of hatch cover has grown on me. While this one has 4 hatches, I like the day hatch. Again, this is total personal preference, but I like the little mini hatch here. You can fit phones, you can fit snacks, you can, it's a good size here. You can fit enough stuff, sunscreen, that kind of stuff that if you just don't, if you want to carry more than just on your life jacket, or don't like having all the pockets of your life jacket filled up. The hatch I've never been a fan of, and it's on, it's an option on so many different boats, is the day hatch right behind the seat. For me, it's a small little hole that's very limited things can go in, a good chunk of space here. And so I prefer a kayak that doesn't have that, and that this whole stern is one big compartment that when I'm doing multi-day trips, I've just got that much more space for bigger items. Because when I'm kayak camping, canoe camping, whatever, I'm not typically a minimalist. I like bringing a few extra pieces of gear, and if that's going to stop me from doing it, for me, it's not ideal. I don't need a day hatch. You know, this is a common feature on a lot of sea kayaks. The bow hatch isn't as big as the stern hatch, and I'm sure there is some reason it's narrower at the bow, and so you probably can't fit the exact same hatch. But the small hatch at the front of the kayak is, you need to pack smaller dry bags for multi-day trips to fit in there. So some things simply won't get in there. They have to go into the stern. And in an ideal world, I'd love to have a bigger hatch system up front there. Just a little bit bigger to make it easier to get my bigger camping gear in there. So that's all I have to say about features. So who is this kayak for? Well, you know, I have to agree with what P&H says this kayak is for. This is an expedition machine, being 17.5 feet long, lots of space for camping gear. Even if the bow hatch is, you just have to be more strategic when you're packing your dry bags to get stuff in there. Tons of space in here, lots of room too for long days on the water, so you're comfortable. Great combination of speed and maneuverability, so you can handle the different types of conditions that pop up. In general, a plastic boat like this, you don't have to worry about it banging on rocks and getting it being damaged. This thing's going to take a licking and keep ticking. So it's for someone who really this is a kind of boat, sea kayak, that if you're someone who can only have one boat, I'm not that. I love having multiple boats. It's like, for me, I've talked about this before, it's like having a bunch of different golf clubs, you know? I don't want to go golfing with one club, and so I don't like to go paddling with just one type of kayak, but it's a luxury. I totally get that. And I do a lot of kayaking, so I can kind of justify it. But for people who only want one kayak, what a great kayak to have as your only kayak. It can do it all. Now, the price tag, $2,600 US, that ain't cheap, but that is what you have to expect to pay for a high quality sea kayak of this nature. Is it the cheapest sea kayak of this nature that you can find on the market? No, it isn't. Maybe you even pay a small premium for these little features like you definitely pay a little bit more for the Core Light X, the skeg system. I mean, it's a well-built boat. I've been a fan since I first tested the Virgo about 3 years ago. That was the first P&H kayak that I tested. I'm pretty sure it was. And I was right away, I was like, wow, these are built really well. I mean, these are top of class sea kayaks. And so are you going to pay a little premium? Maybe, but if you are, it's not much of a premium. I mean, that is the ballpark that you pay for a high quality sea kayak. So not much I can say about value except for, yeah, you can find a cheaper one, but is it worth it? Yes, it is worth, in my opinion, it is worth it if it's in your budget. So that's all I got to say about the Scorpio. Hope you guys have enjoyed this review. And as always, those of you who have had more experience in this boat, leave a comment down below. Share your experience with the Scorpio with everybody that's watching this. The ultimate goal here is to help people get into the right boat. A kayak is an investment for one. It's a big investment, and it sucks when you buy something and you're like, this is the wrong thing. That's what I'm trying to stop people from doing. A, wasting money, but B, making sure they get the right boat so that they have the safest, most comfortable, most fun experience possible on the water. But you guys have a lot of insights as well. They're super valuable to people, and a lot of you have a lot more experience in this boat. So share your thoughts on this boat. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. And, give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to Paddle TV if you haven't already. Make sure to hit that notification bell too, so that when my new videos come out, you'll get notified. And that's important because I got a lot of new videos coming out. In particular, this year, more than ever, I'm going to be doing lots of tips, lots more gear reviews, but a lot more paddling adventures too. So we'll see you again soon.